uncertain markets don't stop people, fear does. So the real question is, what's actually holding people back from making real estate decisions right now? And in these uncertain times, if you will, the biggest risk isn't always the market, guys. It is hesitation.
Fear is, of course, the biggest one. But fear, of course, there's a lot of different types of fears, aren't there? So what's funny is I help my clients overcome the fear of success and the fear of failure, often at the same time. So in other words, most people have a huge fear of making a mistake because in real estate, hey, let's face it, a mistake can cost you a lot of money, right? But you also have to think about the fact that not acting can also cost you a lot of money. So that's where a lot of people get stuck. They get stuck in should I or shouldn't I? And by the time they've hesitated, then the opportunity is gone. Let's call it opportunity cost.
So good morning, great morning, guys. Welcome to another fabulous episode of Exit Strategies Radio Show. I am your host. That's me, Corwyn J, Melette, broker and owner of Exit Realty Low Country Group in beautiful North Charleston, South Carolina. So guys, hey, look, if this is your first time listening to this show, maybe you're passing through, maybe you're catching us on the radio, maybe you just happen to hit a link or something somewhere that you saw on socials, wherever it is, guys, thank y'all so much for tuning in. And as always, we're going to do our best to give you an amazing show on today. I always got to give a shout out to those who listen to us faithfully. Look here, Pastor Vanderbilt Evans Sr. And I got to put the senior on that guy name. That guy will jack me up if I don't. He's a tall dude. I'm a short guy. I'm a little heavy, but that dude will snatch me right on up on my tiptoes. And I love him for it. His beautiful bride, Miss Sandra, my mom out there in Moncks Corner. Y'all folks down there in Hollywood, what you know, no good. And my people in Mullins and Marion, thank y'all so much for tuning in. So guys, I'm super excited about today's show. Yeah, I am. So look here, we got a doctor in the building. Yeah, and he's going to do some work today. I'm super excited about this, but I want to set the tone. Because guys, we were always talking about what markets are doing, what's going on here and there, and how people respond in those times. So I want to make it very clear, and this sets the tone for today. Uncertain markets don't stop people. Fear does. So the real question is, what's actually holding people back from making real estate decisions right now, right? I mean, hey, we want to know that, right? So in our last episode, we talked about what's happening in the market. And today we're talking about what is happening in your mind, because uncertain times, and in these uncertain times, if you will, the biggest risk isn't always the market, guys. It is hesitation. So our guest today is Dr. Noah. Now, he's Dr. Noah St. John, but everybody who know him and love him call him Dr. Noah. So I want y'all to do that right now. And I want you to say Dr. Noah. He is a psychology-driven expert with over 30 years of experience helping high-level performers overcome subconscious barriers tied to wealth and decision-making. Sometimes we get frozen by fear, right? His work has been trusted by nine-figure CEOs, celebrities, and professional athletes. And we're going to ask him who he worked for now, but contributing to over $3.2 billion in client revenue and earning more than 2,000 media features. He's also the creator of the Human AI Gap framework, which helps individuals identify and eliminate the internal patterns that slow execution, especially in high-stake decisions like real estate investing. So guys, look, I'm going to tell you why this matters. For buyers, investors, anyone thinking about making a move right now, understanding how your mind works in uncertain times can be the difference between building wealth or staying stuck on the sidelines. So y'all, please welcome to the show, Dr. Noah. How you doing today?
Well, I'm great, Corwyn. What a wonderful introduction. I appreciate you, my man. We're going to go on the road together.
Please, look, I'm available for introductions. I love it. I love to bring people out. Let's do that for sure. But how you doing today?
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, it's a pleasure to be here.
So, Dr. Noah, tell our listeners high level who you are and what it is that you do.
Well, my name is Dr. Noah St. John. If you go to my website, it's noahstjohn.com. Very easy to remember. So yeah, I'm known for helping people make more in 12 weeks than they did in the previous 12 months while working less. So that sounds pretty good to most people, right? So if you're an entrepreneur, if you're a real estate investor, real estate broker, professional real estate investor. I've helped my clients, as you mentioned, add billions of dollars collectively over the last 30 years. That means 6, 7, 8, and yes, even 9-figure increases for my clients by following my framework. And so, again, you can go to noahstjohn.com. We've got a lot of great resources for you, and that's what I do.
So, look, I'm going to go ahead and jump right in. Let's start this off with, in theory, the quote unquote, the real elephant in the room. So when it comes to real estate, what are the biggest psychological fears people are dealing with, you believe, right now?
Well, you mentioned it right in the beginning, right? In your introduction. Fear is, of course, the biggest one. But fear, of course, there's a lot of different types of fears, aren't there? So what's funny is I help my clients overcome the fear of success and the fear of failure, often at the same time. So in other words, most people have a huge fear of making a mistake because in real estate, hey, let's face it, a mistake can cost you a lot of money, right? But you also have to think about the fact that not acting can also cost you a lot of money. So that's where a lot of people get stuck. They get stuck in should I or shouldn't I? And by the time they've hesitated, then the opportunity is gone. That's called opportunity cost. We've all heard about that, but it's very, very real. So, that $3 billion that I've helped my clients make over the last 30 years, 90% of that has come from helping them overcome these fears. As I call it, the inner game of success. I'm pointing to my brain for those of you on the radio. So if you think about the inner game, that really is 90% of success. Now, the outer game of success, of course, is all of the blocking and tackling that you have to do in real estate and entrepreneurship, owning your own business, whatever. You have to do all those things on the outside. But what's interesting is that the billions that I've helped my clients make, 90% of it has come from inner game.
So it's interesting. So this morning, actually, and it's so interesting that we're having this conversation. Every now and again, I'll just to kind of woosah for a second, I take the breather, I open up socials or whatever, and I look at reels. And today, most days, it's a mixture of there's some garbage and junk in there that pops up, but then you get to the motivational stuff, inspirational, whatever. And everything I was reading this morning, it just kept coming like motivational stuff. And it was talking about essentially what we're talking about now. So my question to you, Dr. Noah, is why do you believe that we have, we talked about, okay, decisions and all that kind of stuff and quote unquote, y'all don't want to make the wrong decision. But even when we know that we should be doing something, we should be moving forward, why are we still getting hung up?
Well, it's actually very simple. And this is something I actually just did a TEDx talking about, as I call it, being done with head trash. Now, head trash is the voice in your head that says, I can't do it because ... And then you fill in the blank. Well, I can't do it because I'm too old, or I don't have the money. I can't afford it. I don't have the time. I'm divorced. I've got 3 kids. You get all of these excuses. And what's funny about your head trash is you always make yourself right. So, for example, if you're saying, well, I want to do this, but I can't do it because, then whatever happens after the word because is what you believe to be true, and you'll make it true. Oh, I don't have the time. Well, meanwhile, I can come in and show you where you're wasting 1 to 3 hours a day. I can literally find 1 to 3 hours in your day that you think you don't have any time. Oh, I don't have any money. Okay, I can come in and show you how to leverage what you already have so you can actually use what you have to get more of what you want. So those excuses in your brain, they're always false, but they seem real to you. So that's why people hire me. That's why they come to me. They read my books or they hire me as a coach. Because when you're on the inside of the bottle, you can't read the label on the outside. So it takes somebody like me come in and actually show you what you're missing, which is literally right in front of your face.
So head trash, got to put that somewhere. I think I'm going to write it up, put it on the wall somewhere or another as a point of reference. So let's shift this a little bit, but I want to keep that because there's an old adage and it's not applicable in this time, right? But, sometimes, that old adage, I believe, is what keeps us. I'm going to bring this to that next piece, the next segment here in a minute. But sometimes we say that one man's trash is another man's treasure. Therefore, we are hesitant to get rid of our trash. So let's talk now, Dr. Noah, about that invisible brake. You talked about it, frame it as head trash. And I believe you also coined it as the invisible brake. So what is that? And how does it show up?
For everyone listening to this program right now, I want you to think about your goals. All right. That's where I always start with my clients. All right. Whether it's one-on-one coaching or group coaching, or I'm doing keynotes or training for teams, organizations all around the world, we always start with your goals because we humans are goal-oriented organisms. We're always constantly thinking about what we want, whether it's a new house, a new car, to start a business, grow a business, get a new job, get a promotion at work. or have a ham sandwich for lunch. We're always thinking about what do we want. So it's absolutely crucial that you are very clear on what you want. And by the way, it's not enough to say, I want more money. Okay, here's $5, go away. No, you've got to be much clearer than that. All right. So we start with that. Now, everybody listening to this program has already heard a million times, right? Oh, set your goals. Goal setting. We've heard this a million times. Yeah, you have heard it a million times. But here's what I do that's different. And this is what you haven't heard. And that is, it's what happens after you set the goal. That's actually the most important thing. It's not the goal. It's what happens after you set the goal. So let's take an example. Let's say I want to go from 100K to $1 million, or $1 million to $5 million, or $5 million to $10 million, whatever it is. All right. So you want to go from where you are to where you want to be, right? So there's a gap. There's a gap between where you are and where you want to be. Well, that gap is the destination. The destination is your goal. So imagine you're driving your car. You're driving your car because your car is a vehicle to get you to where you want to go, right? So it's exactly the same thing as setting your goal. So you're driving your car. So here you are, you're driving on the road. But unbeknownst to you, you have developed the unconscious habit of driving down the road of life with one foot on the brake. Now, what everybody out there is doing is telling you to step on the gas harder. Hey, set your goals and think positive and work hard and hustle and grind. Okay, you've heard that a million times. So why aren't you at your goals yet? Because of what I teach, what I've been teaching for 30 years now and helping people make billions of dollars. It's the other force at work. Your foot on the brake. Now, you're saying, but Noah, that doesn't make any sense. Why would I drive down the road of life with one foot on the brake? And I'm like, you're right. It doesn't make any sense. Have you met humans? We don't make any sense. All right. But until and unless you actually follow my framework, you go through my system, which we call the power habit system, because what I developed 30 years ago is a program that's called the Power Habits of Unconsciously Successful People. Now, that sounds like a mouthful, but it's actually very simple. What I realized 30 years ago, and I've been teaching my clients for this many years, is that highly successful people are doing things unconsciously that they don't even know they're doing, number one, and therefore, number two, they can never teach it to you. So many of you listening have already read all the books about how to set your goals and work hard and succeed and all that stuff. That's all fine. But all of that is about your foot on the gas. So nobody's talked to you about your foot on the brake, which I call the invisible brake. That's why it's invisible, because you can't see it. And so let me give you a quick example from one of my clients. So I was speaking at a seminar in Los Angeles for 1,000 business owners, and I was walking off the stage. I just presented, and a man came up to me out of the audience, and he said, Noah, I want to hire you as my coach. You are the coach I've been looking for. Now, I didn't know this man from Adam. Ironically, his name was Adam. True story. You can go on my website and watch this video and over 200 others. But anyway, my point is, he said, I want to hire you. I said, okay, well, what's going on? He said, Noah, I own this company. I'm the founder, and we got to 7 figures, but we have been stuck for the past 4 years. He said, 4 years. We've been stuck. We haven't had any growth. And he said, I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on all these marketing guys. He named all the big names, all the gurus. He said, we can't break through that ceiling. And he said, as soon as I heard you speak, he said, I knew you were the coach I've been looking for. So he literally decided to hire me on the spot. That's why I love working with high achievers, right? Because they make decisions quickly and firmly. They don't dilly-dally. They don't, I got to talk to my wife. No, let's do it. Anyway, so I coached him and his leadership team for 18 months. And do you know, in that 18 months, we were able to get his company that had been stuck at 7 figures for the previous 4 years to over 20 million. 20 million. That's a 600% increase. We like to call that hockey stick, right? You're going along like this, and then you install my power habit system, and then whoop, you go through the roof. Hockey stick. So that is an example, because he was doing all of the outer things right, but no one had shown him how to master the inner game until I taught him, and boom, 600% growth. So for everyone listening, think about how that can be affecting you right now, and you don't even know it. It's unconscious. It's invisible. So that's why when you go to noahstjohn.com, you can actually release the brake. You can actually book an invisible brake audit. You can do it right there on the website, and we'll show you exactly where your brake is, number one. Number two, how much it's costing you. And number three, how to release the brake very quickly. Boom, so you can get that hockey stick growth.
You know, Dr. Noah said something powerful today. Sometimes the biggest thing holding us back isn't the market, it's fear. And when it comes to home ownership, having the right team can make all the difference.
You served your country with pride. Now it's time someone serves you. At Country Boy Homes, we believe every veteran deserves a safe, beautiful, and affordable place to call home. We proudly offer VA loan-friendly, manufactured and modular homes built with integrity, quality, and your family in mind. Whether you're retiring to the peace of the low country or starting fresh with your family, we're here to build the future you've earned. Give us a call today, 843-574-8979. Country Boy Homes, built to honor, built to last. Look here, man. Dr. Noah, I'm loving it, man. I'm loving it because we always talk about mindset on this show. So I'm going to move us to something else here. And that is, how do we move from hesitation to action? And specifically, can you break down, as we talked about it, made mention of it in the intro, that human AI gap framework as far as how it relates to people and decision makers and in real estate?
Absolutely. So there's two forces at work here. All right. So I want you to imagine two circles that are intersecting in the middle. The first circle is what I call inner game. So inner game is everything you can't see directly, but it's affecting every part of your life. So like when I do keynote presentations or trainings for teams and organizations, I'll always ask my audience members, what's one area of your life where your beliefs don't affect you? And people will go, and I'll go, yeah, exactly. There's no place your beliefs don't affect you, right? Your beliefs affect your health, your wealth, your finances, your business, your relationships, your weight, your health, your wellness, everything. But the funny thing about your beliefs, your inner game, is you can't see it directly. You can only see the effects of it. You only see the effects of the inner game. You don't see it. You can't see it directly. So if you want to look at how you're doing, just look around your life. And that's why, in terms of my coaching, it's not cookie cutter, one size fits all. It's very customized, bespoke for every individual person because, of course, everyone is an individual person. But nevertheless, the framework always applies. So that's your inner game. And then you'll also have your outer game, right? So the outer game is all of the, for example, in real estate, it's all the real estate stuff. You're trained how to do real estate, how to find clients, how to do closings, and all of that outer game stuff. But just like my client, Adam, and really every other client I've ever helped, they've spent all this money and time and effort on the outer game, but no one had shown them how to master their inner game. Right. So that's an example of how so many people, let's face it, most people are driving down the road of life with one foot on the brake. So that's as part of the inner game. Now, as far as the human AI gap, that's another thing that I teach now because, of course, we are now in the AI revolution. I started my company in 1997, successclinic.com. That's the name of my company. And I started in a 300 square foot basement apartment in Hadley, Massachusetts with $800 and a book on HTML. I had nothing. I had no marketing, no sales, no money, no connections, nothing. But I did have one thing going for me that I bet everybody listening to this program also has. And that is a deep burning desire to make a difference, to make an impact, to, as Steve Jobs put it, put a dent in the universe. And so that's all I had going. And so all those lean years, that's what kept me going. Well, now, all these years later, so my point of that was that I was here online at the beginning of the internet revolution. Well, if you think about the internet revolution, for those of you that maybe remember being online in the late 90s, early 2000s remember all that? It was awful, wasn't it? And here we are. Anyway, so the internet revolution took about 10 years, if you think about it, about 10 years. Well, here we are in the next revolution, the AI revolution. That took about 10 months. So think about that, from 10 years to 10 months. So the rate of change is astronomically faster than it's ever been, frankly, in human history. So that's really one of the things I'm teaching now is the human AI gap. The point being is that AI itself is accelerating so rapidly, but we're dealing with human psychology, which hasn't changed in 100,000 years. One isn't changing anytime soon. So that's part of the human AI gap. And frankly, people are hiring me to help them to bridge that gap.
So I was at a conference some time ago, Dr. Noah, and a conversation was had about our phones and stuff, our devices, if you will, now that, used to be you had this big, massive computer in a room somewhere that did, what this thing in your hand now. Matter of fact, it was a whole room full of computers, like one massive room or what have you. Now you have all that power in your hand as it's kind of trickled down. So technology, you're right, it has been accelerating. So let's add in this piece because we want our listeners to be able to move. So the zero friction approach, that is one of your coin trainings or applications, if you will. What does that look like as well in this particular arena as well about people making decisions?
Absolutely. Okay, so let's go back to something I talked about earlier, which is your goals, right? We always go back to what do you want, and we must focus on that. And by the way, that's not selfish. People, I don't want to be selfish. It's actually not selfish because remember, when you're not being your true self, you're actually robbing the world of your message, of your energy, of your being. And don't do that. So that's actually very selfish. So you still focus on what you want, both as an individual, as a family, as a married couple, as a team, as an organization, right? So there's all different levels of focusing on goals, all right? So that's one thing that we help people with. So that's the first part. But the second part is, remember, I talked about that you're probably, because most people are, driving down the road of life with one foot on the brake. Well, if you think about your car, which is a vehicle to get you where you want to go faster than you walking, that's all a car is, right? You can walk down the street to the grocery store, you can take a car. Which one's better? I mean, it makes sense, right? But in your car, there are two forces at work: the driving force of the foot on the gas and the restraining force of your foot on the brake. Now, what is the brake? The brake is friction. That's what causes your car to stop, right? It's called friction. And guess what? If it doesn't work, you got another problem. So, but as far as us humans, we have the invisible brake that I talked about earlier. All right. So if you think about your life, think about your business, your career, your relationships, your health, every problem you're facing, listen to what I'm saying, everybody listening, every problem you're facing in your business is a friction problem. That's why you need a zero friction solution, because everybody out there is teaching you how to step on the gas harder. All those hustle and grind, all the hustle bros, as I call them. Hey, come on, work 18 hours a day and don't take any breaks and don't go on vacation and don't see your kids and miss all those hockey games and ballet recitals. I mean, who needs that? I'm like, are you stupid? What? I mean, are you insane? Because what is the purpose of your business? Your purpose of your business should be to serve your life, not the other way around. Now, look, I understand we all have times in our business where, yeah, you might have to put in some 18-hour days, but that's not a business. That's not sustainable. That's called you ripping your face off. It's not sustainable. Okay, so we've got to put in these systems, both inner game and outer game. And again, I will argue that the inner game systems are much more important than the outer game, because you probably already spent tons of time and money and effort on the outer game, but you must master the inner game, like the examples I've talked about. So really, that's why they call me the zero friction doctor. Because every problem you're facing in your business, your life, and your relationships is a friction problem. That's why you need a zero friction solution.
So, Dr. Noah, you got me reevaluating my whole life over here.
I do that. I tend to do that.
I'm thinking back, because that's legitimately what it always has been. We push the gas and we try to push the gas
because that's what we're taught.
Faster than what the brake can hold. I mean, let's talk real life application for our listeners. So, Dr. Noah, if someone listening right now is listening like I am and reevaluating their whole life and feeling stuck, what should they do this week? What should they pick up and do?
Okay. So I'm going to give you a very, very special gift, which I was not planning to do, but I love you, Corwyn. So I'm doing this for you and your listeners. Okay. So this is very special. And actually, it's the first time I've done this. So anyway, when you go to noahstjohn.com, go to my website. Now there's a button right there at the top that says release the brake. So you just tap that button and you can book an Invisible Brake Audit. Now, this is normally $500. It's a $500 audit. All right. Why? Because it's like going to a surgeon, right? I'm like a brain surgeon, but I'm like an inner brain surgeon. Okay. So a brain surgeon. And I mean, remember, I've helped people make billions of dollars, and this is all very proven. So anyway, it's $500. I'm going to give you a coupon code. So everybody listening, write this down. All right. Here's the coupon code, FRIEND500. That's it. Friend 500, because you're a friend of Corwyn's, and any friend of Corwyn is a friend of mine. All right. So you put in the coupon code friend 500 and it is zero free. Okay. So I'm only doing this for your show, Corwyn. Anyway, so again, noahstjohn.com, click the button and put in the friend 500 coupon code. And then either I or one of my coaches will get on a Zoom, and you just have to answer a few questions. Again, it's like going to the doctor. You're going to the surgeon, right? So this is inner brain surgery, not outer brain surgery, thank God. But let's face it, the inner brain surgery is probably going to make you a heck of a lot more, right? So anyway, that's what I want to give everyone. Another thing that you can also do is you can subscribe to my YouTube channel, which is just go on YouTube and search my name, Noah St. John, or go to watchnoahtv.com, easy to remember. Watch Noah TV. Why wouldn't you want to watch Noah TV? You wouldn't want to not do it. Hello. Anyway, so watch my videos. I put out video trainings every week. WatchNoahTV.com, but NoahStJohn.com. Use that coupon code, and I'll be happy to help all of your listeners, Corwyn.
Noah, Dr. Noah, look here. Thank you. For our listeners, guys, y'all should have been all over that like honey, like a bear on honey. That's the we do that one today. A bear on honey. Y'all should have been all over that. So look, I want to keep us in this application phase for our listeners. And Dr. Noah, I'm going to ask you to frame this next one kind of as a continuation, but For someone planning to buy their first home, including mindset shift,
Yes.
what is an internal barrier that they should be working to address immediately? Maybe it's a first-time investor. What are those two things that
Right.
they should be looking at, making sure they're working to overcome?
Well, it's funny because I have helped my real estate clients literally make hundreds of millions of dollars because of the inner game framework that I'm talking about and that I'm telling you. In fact, it's funny. I was at a real estate conference. I was speaking at a real estate conference in Phoenix a while back, and a man came up to me and he said, "No, this sounds really good, but what makes this different from everything else I've tried?" He was very skeptical and kind of had his arms crossed like this. And I was like, and so he was expecting me to sell him. And so I said, his name was Bill. I said, "I don't know, Bill, what do you think makes it different?" And then he goes, "Well, I mean, this really sounds amazing because you're talking about inner game and head trash and foot on the brake and invisible, all these things I never heard before." And he's like, "I really think I should do it." I go, "Okay, well, then maybe you should do it." See, he was expecting a sales. Instead, I unsold him and he sold himself. So the point is that he actually got my program and I coached him and he started doing multi-million and then multi-billion-dollar deals. And you can see his video on my website as well. So one of the things that I help Bill and my other real estate clients with is, number one, identifying exactly the head trash that was holding him back. Now, in his case, it was fear, like we talked about earlier, the fear of success and the fear of failure. And if you're saying, "But Noah, how can you be afraid of success and failure at the same time?" I'm like, have you met humans? We don't make any sense. We're not logical. You're expecting this to be logical. You're expecting it to make sense. It doesn't make sense. But when you boil it down, when you really drill down into that unconscious, as I talk about, then you always find a place where it actually makes perfect sense. So we were able to release that brake for him, get that zero friction, and boom, multi-million and then multi-billion-dollar deals. And pretty happy with the result was Bill.
That's good stuff. That's great stuff. So Dr. Noah, I've been on the website for our listeners, guys. I'm on the website taking a look. Guys, y'all have to get on here. It is some real good stuff. Please don't forget that code. So Dr. Noah, I want to thank you for being on with us today. And I want you to, if you don't mind, drop your website one more time where people can get in contact and get connected to you.
Absolutely. So noahstjohn.com. That's my name. NOAHSTJOHN, just like it sounds. noahstjohn.com. Click the button that says release the brake. Book your Invisible Brake Audit. Use that coupon code FRIEND500, just friend, because you're a friend of the show, you're a friend of Corwyn, you're a friend of mine. And, either I or one of my coaches will gonna get that Invisible Brake Audit, just answer a few questions, and it's exactly like going to the surgeon. I'm the surgeon. We will not be doing actual brain surgery. What we're doing, inner game surgery, which, let's face it, is going to make you a heck of a lot more money.
I love it. I love it. Dr. Noah, thank you so much. Thank you so much. So our listeners, guys, look, what you heard today is simple. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't overthink it. This isn't just about the market. It's about mindset. Too many people are waiting for the perfect time, not realizing that hesitation is what's costing them the most. I'm over here preaching to the choir, guys. So if you're thinking about buying, investing, or making your next move, don't just study the market. Understand what's happening in your mind. Call the doctor, Dr. Noah, because at the end of the day, wealth isn't just built on opportunity, it is built on action. To our listeners, guys, y'all know how I feel. You know what I say. I always give you those two things, and I deliver it to you this way, which is to tell you that I love you, and we're going to see you guys out there in those streets.